What's up, guys? So today we're going to be working on the Cobalt again. I'll show you quick this rocker panel done, and then I'll show you the other side, which I did off camera, and it is also done. And this is the one that I had to add that piece on the end, and so that turned out really good. I have to sand that fiberglass down and then do some body work, but that's kind of like not a huge deal, shouldn't be too bad. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to pull this rear axle out, because I did some reading and I found out that the Super Sport turbocharged cars actually have a bigger sway bar, and I can take you underneath there and I can show you why I can't just change the sway bar out. So if you can see, this sway bar is right here. It's integrated right into this this axle. So pretty much you have to swap out the whole axle. The other thing that I also read is that the SS's have disc brakes on the back, where this one has drums. And there's brackets on the other axle that this one doesn't have for the disc brakes. So we definitely have to change it over. I'm hoping to be able to pull it out in one piece, pretty much drop the whole axle, and then take the one out of the other car and put it back in. So that's what we're gonna do. All right, so before I started the video, I kind of went through and tried to figure the best way to do this. Now, where this arm goes in here, there's a bushing with a big nut and bolt, which you could take it off there, but there also is 3 bolts right here that hold a whole bracket on. And if you just take that whole bracket, the whole thing comes off. I sprayed all this stuff with WD-40 a couple days ago so that it would soak in good. And so I'm hoping that everything will come out okay. We got 3 bolts down here, a shock bolt here, and then the brake lines, and then we're gonna have to unhook the emergency cables, brake cables, which I believe are probably different, and I'll probably have to use the ones from the other car. They run inside the car here, up to the emergency brake handle, but then they actually have these tubes that run out of the car here. So I don't want to take them out if I don't have to. Like I said, I'm sure they're probably not the same, but then again, I don't know. They might be the same. So for now, we're gonna pull the drum off, unhook the cables hopefully, and then just remove them from the drums. And then if we need to change them after, we will. Does not want to come off. Huh. I might have to end up taking it off inside the car, because I don't know if I can even get these off. Okay, let's try something else. The cable's just latched in here. I already have one of them kind of unhooked. Okay, so there's the cable out. And then, okay, so there's that one. Okay, so there we got those out of there. Now let's figure out how we get them out from the floor. So there's like a rubber grommet. I don't know if this grommet comes off or... maybe it goes through. Push the grommet in, and the grommet goes with it. Okay. Well, that's pretty simple. All right, I'll get the other one out and then that'll be good. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I already pre-loosened these bolts before I started the video, and of course one of them, out of the 6, this one right here is spinning. So the castellated nut on the top obviously broke loose, but it came loose like 3/4 of the way, and then there's one there, and there's one just on the other side. So there's 6 altogether. So what we're gonna have to do, we're gonna have to take these ones out, and then I'll have to cut that one and then fix the nut on top before we put the new axle in. So I just was curious, would they actually come loose? And they pretty much all came loose. And like I said, that one was coming loose, and then the nut started spinning. I was really surprised that all these bolts came out so good. Of course, like I said, this one was coming, and I think I stopped spinning the gun, and had I just kept spinning, it probably would have came out, but There's two. I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna use to cut that bolt off. All right, so it looks like a cutoff wheel fits right in there. That's why I say it's good that I actually got it half loose, because had I not got it loose at all, I would have to probably use the plasma cutter, which would have been fine also, but I think this should work pretty good, because I can easily get at the bolt. It feels like I can only get halfway through, so I'll have to turn it and keep cutting. I'll just turn it a little bit with the ratchet here, and then cut it more. Go all the way around like that until it comes through. Oh, of course it's like almost through, but not quite. So close and yet so far. I don't know if I can put this socket on it and then just... No.
Get out of here, you goddamn jackass.
Oh, no, it worked. There we go. There you can see. I almost look how much I didn't cut through it. Just this little part I couldn't quite get. But that's it. She's loose on this side. Now we'll do the other side and the brake lines and the shocks, and it'll be out. Okay. Alright, so there's those three. They came out super nice. The shock. So here's the brake line, which I said I sprayed the other day. So these should come pretty easy. If I can get the line wrench on there, but I got the wrong size. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Came super easy. And I'm assuming if I take it off here, then that's the same as the other car. All the bolts on here came off really good, and I was expecting them to not come off so good. Okay, that we need to save. And then there's this clip, which I'll need a screwdriver for, that holds the brake line on to this part of the frame. I will get the other side off, and we'll lower this thing down. I got the brake lines off, so let's start lowering it and see what happens. Hopefully it comes out. Oh. Crap. Looks like I got, oh, I see, ABS wiring to take off. Kind of forgot about the ABS on the back. There. Simple as that. Just up on the floor here. Okay, and then the springs come off like that. We are talking about getting coilovers for this. Looking at like BC coilovers. So I'm probably going to just throw the other axle back in with the current, like the old springs and shocks for right now. I need definitely one strut, because one strut was damaged in the accident. So, I mean, I could just buy some struts for it, but we're thinking about getting some coilovers. This way we can adjust the ride height and it'll handle better. But there we go. That's one axle. Oh, look at this. Where's that? Oh, I can't get it off. One of the coil springs was broken. There's a piece of it stuck in there. Oh, maybe that's supposed to be in there? No. It's broken. But both of them are, because that one is too. Weird. Oh, yeah. There you can see it snapped right off. Kind of a low budget lowering kit. What I want to do before I put the other axle in is I want to clean all this. As you can see, it's disgusting and dirty. And I also think I got to pull the gas tank, because I believe the fuel pump is different. I would assume it's different. You would think the turbocharged version has a bigger fuel pump. So the gas tank maybe I'll pull out before, and then hopefully we will pull the axle and the gas tank and everything out of the other car tomorrow. and get it swapped in. Well, kind of have some bad news. I mean, bad news for me, not necessarily for you guys. But I was taking a look here, and this nut that I cut off, there's no access to it. I thought I could access it through here once the axle was out, but it's all solid. So I think what I'm going to end up having to do here is make a hole here and then weld it back up after. It's kind of my only shot, or I make a hole on the inside, but this would be way easier to cut open. So yeah, that kind of sucks, but I thought I'd show you something else that I think looks pretty cool. I took one of the tires from the S10 and I stuck it in there. So yeah, that looks pretty cool. I don't know. Write down in the comments below, should we build one of these? Rear wheel drive Cobalt, maybe with an LS in it. I kind of thought about doing it with the other car, except the fact that it's smashed and I can't title it or license it again unless I was to get the integrity, which obviously I wouldn't do. But I would definitely consider buying another one of these and trying to do a budget rear wheel drive swap. Tell me what you guys think. I drilled a little hole just right there, and I can access the encapsulated nut right there. So now, and I can't drill the hole any bigger because it's hitting that nut. So I'm just trying to break it out of there so that I can drill the hole a little bigger and at least get another new nut in there. It's like it's loose, but unless there's not enough room for it to go. Oh no, there we go. Okay. I got it out of the way now. There's my finger. Right there, see it? Doot, doot. So, now I should be able to do something here. Oh, now it's wedged in there. Alright, so I ended up getting out the broken off bolt. I ended up cutting a second hole because just of the way the bolt was in there. And I have good access here to where the bolt nut goes through. So then what I'll do is I'll just clean this up, and then once I put the axle back in, tighten it. Well, I mean, I might be able to weld the nut back in there, but it's kind of hard to get in, so I might end up just tightening it, and then once it's tight, then I'll just weld a piece on top, little cover, and it'll be good as new. I got the encapsulated nut that was in there back in there, and so I'm just gonna weld it in, and then I'll be able to make this cover and weld that on too. So that should be good enough to hold it, I think. It's kind of hard to weld in there, but I got it welded, so that'll hold it. It's in there nice. I mean, pretty much once it's tight, it's tight. It won't go anywhere, but obviously if I ever need to take it out again, it would be good if I could. I just took a piece of cardboard, I cut out a piece. I'm gonna make a little square like that to fit in there, and then I'll probably just drill 4 spot welds, 3 or 4 holes, and then I'll just spot weld it or something maybe, instead of trying to weld it all the way around. So yeah, let's take this piece, we'll just take it over to the metal, trace it out, and cut it. And there you go. So a little bit of seam sealer, be good as new. All right, so it's the next day now. I ended up pulling out the gas tank and I never filmed it. I wasn't even really thinking about it, but that's out. All that really needs to be done underneath is to clean it up a little bit. Everything else looks really good. I got the other car outside. We're gonna start taking that apart today. Hopefully we're gonna pull the axle out, the gas tank out. We're gonna transfer the axle from this car into that car. I'm not too concerned about putting the axle back in this car. I just want to get it out of that car and in the garage, because I'll probably clean it up a little bit and stuff. So I don't know exactly how much filming I'll do, since you already saw me do most of that, but I will keep you updated, and probably when I pull the gas tank, I'll film a little bit of that for anybody who wants to know how to remove it that doesn't. So yeah, let's get to work. Before we go outside and do anything on the other car, I was looking at this quarter panel here where I ground that little bit of surface rust off. There was a little spot here. I figured I could just fiberglass it, but when I got inside, like, the inner lip here was rusted, so I cut it off. As you can see here, it kind of just ends. But I figured, you know, sometimes you cut it off for tire clearance, it's not going to be a big deal, it'll hold it. But then I noticed that the inside here, I'm peeling pieces of it off right now, is all rusty up in here, which you guys wouldn't really be able to see. But so I think I have to replace this section. Probably I kind of marked it out kind of like this. I'm going to have to weld in a new piece. So what I'm going to try to do is, I have this front fender that's no good, it's crunched on the top. I'm going to cut this lip out here. At least this little lip is going to be the same, but hopefully some of this first part here will be the same kind of profile, and then I can use it. I could also cut a piece of the wheel well out of the other car, but yeah, we're going to have to replace this. I mean, it doesn't really matter. The car needs to get painted anyways, so, you know, if it's primer for now, it doesn't really matter. But so we're going to take a cut-off wheel, we're going to cut that lip out, and then we're going to kind of test fit it in there and see how it looks. See, it's got this nice lip on the edge, which was what's missing from that one. So like I said, even if I just use this thin lip with that lip, that would actually be really good. Now we're just going to take this, because I don't need that on anymore, and sort of see. Oh, of course there's a bracket there. I have to cut that off first. Alright, so I just zipped that off. Yeah, so it seems like maybe here it's the same, but as it gets towards the front, this lip, so maybe I'll have to trim it back some and see what that does. I'm trying to match up the opening. It looks the same in terms of the opening. Maybe a little different. So I don't know, maybe this isn't going to work. If I could clean it up and slip it over and see, you know, if it seems like it's going to line up. Or like I said before, I might have to just use this piece right here and not up this part, because I would hope that this lip, it's the same thickness and everything, so I would hope that the lip itself at least is the same. So maybe I'll get in here and try to clean this up some, and then we'll try again. Alright guys, so I ended up cutting pretty much just the lip, as you can see. And it fits pretty good. Of course, it doesn't 100% sit. I think the curve is the same. The reason it's not going up high enough is because it's got a lip in there, and then if I was to cut a tiny bit of this off, it should slide right up in there, which is what I'll have to do next. It's just I'll take off a bit so that I can slide this in, kind of get an idea of where I have to cut, and then I'll have to cut up to the cut line, and then I'll want to like butt weld it so that I don't have to use much filler. So that'll probably be what I'll have to do next. So I cut that part out and I got it fitting, and it actually fits really good. I don't know, something happened and I cut it too much. So I'll end up having to weld another piece in there. Not the end of the world, but it actually fits really good. And yeah, so now what I got to do is trace this line, and then I'll have to cut it out and then fit this new piece in, and then hopefully I should be able to weld it in, I hope. So there it is. I mean, it's kind of just sitting in there, so it's not really 100% lined up, but it's fitting pretty good, except for, like I said, where I screwed up on the end there. I'm going to tack it here, and then over here, and here, and like to keep the heat down. And and then I'll just let it cool, and then I'll just keep doing that until it's done. And then just let it cool down, because if you get it too hot then it's gonna warp, so best to like just do it like this. So I'll finish welding this, and then I guess I'm gonna have to make a section for here to fix, and then we'll smooth it out and see how it looks. All right guys, so I got it all welded up, as you can see. So I think overall it's pretty good. Just needs a coat of fiberglass, and then of course the body work, but it's definitely be a lot better than what it was, and should be fine. All right, there's the wheels off the car, and I'll show you what's been done so far. So I got the axle ready to come out. The emergency brake cables are loose, like I did on the other one, right there. And I got 2 of the 3 bolts out. Brake hose is off. The shock bolts are almost all the way out. And we got the trunk lid area stripped, pretty much all, and the back seats out. Had to start taking the console apart to get those e-brake cables out. So now I'm going to drop this differential out, or axle I should say, out, and then get it into the garage. I'd show you the difference in axles. So here's the SS, obviously the disc brakes. Look at the sway bar, size of this sway bar, and see how it's internal, so you can't remove it. I guess it's actually welded right there. And then here's the other one, and look how tiny the sway bar is, also internal. That's the big reason too that I had to change it. Plus apparently there's some brackets on here, I guess. Oh yeah, like for the disc brakes, look, this is welded on here. So definitely had to change that whole thing. As you can see there, it's out of the car, and next thing is to dump that gas tank out. You basically just have to unhook this line here, and then there's one here, and then the fuel filter wherever it is. And actually it looks like this car is different than the other one, because it doesn't look like it has a fuel filter here. Huh, it must be up at the front. Hopefully that's not going to be an issue, or else we're going to have to change all the fuel lines, which I guess isn't the end of the world. But and then just unhook this, and then there's 2 bolts that hold the straps, and the tank will just drop right out. And to get these off, it's really weird. You just squeeze them and they should just pull off like this, and then you just wiggle them off and they should come off, which I can't do with one hand. So I'll get them off. We got the big wing on there, so it's starting to kind of look like a Super Sport, and the Super Sport's starting to look like a base model. So the axle switched over, threw the rear bumper cover on, switched the trunk lid, which I'm going to keep that trunk lid. I just left it on there for now because I want to be able to fill the back of it with junk. So the next thing will be to do is start taking off the interior and then the engine, but I'll probably end up bringing that car in here to do all that kind of stuff once this one. So next thing to do with this one is to put in the gas tank, the axle from the SS, etc. I also got the exhaust off, which probably we're going to end up swapping that out for aftermarket, but for right now we'll probably throw that exhaust back on because it actually has to go on before the axle goes in. Otherwise it won't fit in one piece. So yeah, that's going to be it for this one, guys. Stay tuned for the next video where we'll do more Cobalt things. Like always, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Check you later.
Own mind is deteriorating. Because I don't think I can get out of this thing worth a shit. Nobody can, so you know. Turn of a bobber schnabber rubber. But the shut up, watch it. Compache junja watch it. Catch a shit. Schmeggle-daggle. What the fuck is it? Did the weed...